In 2022, Matt Reeves supplied Catwoman fans with the most humanized and realistic version of her put to screen yet. Drawing inspiration from the iconic Batman Year One comic, we were presented with a Selina who was purposeful, selfless, and above all, a survivor. With her character arc being a driving force in the film, Selina was one of the only characters tied to each of Riddler's victims in some way. In addition to losing her friend Annika, the mentions of her mother, familial ties to crime boss Carmine Falcone, and of course her relationship with Batman, she was deeply intertwined in the story, playing a key role in helping the audience to understand the purpose and history of other characters as well as her own. Growing up in and around the club scene due to her mother Maria's work schedule, Selina was exposed to the seedy underbelly of Gotham at a young age. Unknowingly encountering her father Carmine Falcone at the club, she never felt safe there, stating that Falcone scared the shit out of her and that she would hide out in the dressing room while her mother worked, although where else would she have been expected to stay? Learning the club was a symbol of fear and confusion for Selina in childhood makes her working there herself as an adult all the more distressing. When she confides to Batman that she lost her mother at age 7, she suggests that Maria's killer was probably some creep from the club. Clearly, the dangers of working at the club are something the women there are all too familiar with. When initially investigating her friend Onika's disappearance with help from Batman, Selina finds herself in 44 Below, the real club underneath the Iceberg Lounge. While there, another hospitality girl, Carla, makes a nervous comment about the nature of the conversation they're having.
Okay, I don't want to hear this. This is the kind of pillow talk that got that Russian girl disappeared.
Selina follows Carla around the club, demanding to hear what she knows about Annika, to which Carla reacts harshly, hissing to Selina,
You okay? Just keep your voice down. What, you got a death wish?
The line is immediately followed by the introduction of Carmine Falcone, foreshadowing the reveal of Annika and Maria's fates later on in the film. Many women who work the club likely know girls who have turned up dead or gone missing. Selina herself is confirmed to know at least 2 close to her, Annika and her mother. Carla may as well, which Selina knows, but she gets caught up in the moment, frantically trying to find her friend, desperate to make sure she doesn't meet the same fate her mother did, and she speaks a little too loudly. When Oswald Cobblepot and Falcone approach the 2 women in an apparent altercation, their cadence immediately shifts. Selina gets visibly smaller, almost shrinking down when she sees Falcone, and for a moment it feels like we are seeing the little girl that was so afraid of him as a child. Throughout Catwoman's comic history, there has been a consistent theme of her being a protector for those in need, oftentimes young women and girls. In Batman Year One, Selina is pictured sheltering child prostitute Holly Robinson, as well as punching out their pimp Stan. Likewise, in the first volume of Ed Brubaker's iconic 2002 Catwoman run, Holly makes another appearance and tells Selina that the streets aren't safe as someone's been murdering prostitutes. Enraged by the police's incompetence and blatant disregard for the victims, Selina vows to be a voice for them. I will speak for them, because no one else will. She dons her Catwoman suit and throws herself into the role of protector of East End. In the 2022 film, Selina references this belief, telling Batman, if we don't stand up for Annika, no one will. The dynamic between Selina and Holly is portrayed similarly between Selina and Annika in The Batman. Selina is very protective over Annika, doing her best to help her in her time of need, and then to avenge her death. Fans have theorized that Annika is Selina's girlfriend, with actress Zoe Kravitz herself stating, "That's definitely the way I interpreted that they had some kind of romantic relationship." Director Matt Reeves' own response to questions about the two also alludes to a deeper relationship. She has an intimacy with that character, and it's a tremendous and deep caring for that character. More so than a sexual thing, but there was meant to be quite an intimate relationship between them. It is also worth noting that Selina has referred to Batman as a stray throughout the comics, and does so in the 2022 film.
You got a lot of cats.
I have a thing about strays.
Reeves expands on this connection between Selina and Annika as well, stating, I spoke to Zoe very early on, and one of the things she said which I loved was that she's drawn to strays because she was a stray. Annika is like a stray and she loves her. Both Selina's words and body language with Annika in the film are mirrored with her and Holly in the comics, whom she does not have a romantic relationship with as Holly is a teenager. The similarities between her and Annika's relationship versus her and Batman's are undeniable, though, and with the addition of Kravitz and Reeves' comments, it is confirmed the two had an intimate relationship in some regard. Selina's habit of calling people close to her baby is present in the Batman, and we see the progression of this nickname play out with Batman, first referring to him as Honey, then Batboy, and then finally Baby, after she kisses him. When she brings William Kenzie, one of the cops involved in Annika's death, to Batman, he throws her gun away, denying her revenge. She reacts by reverting back to calling him Honey, signifying the breaking of the trust she had previously found in him.
Don't worry, honey. I got 9 of them.
When Selina pushes Kenzie off the roof, we witness the birth of Catwoman, but the emergence of her iconic character is not the only significant part of this scene. Matt Reeves credits the moment as the time where the restraints on Selina and Bruce's relationship are felt most, stating, "You start to realize that their relationship is fraught, that while they seem to have come to an understanding, they're just simply different and on different sides of things, and where he might draw a line and come right up to it, she's squarely fine with being on the other side of it." Selina's confusion and irritation around Batman comes up a number of times, and her aggravation is warranted. Batman represents a message of vengeance, self-proclaimed nonetheless. This title has a very strong brutal connotation attached, but he doesn't kill, which is impossible for Selina to know at this point. On top of the animalistic notion the word vengeance can carry, she's grown up around killers and abusers her whole life. When she goes to him to get help tracking down Kenzie in connection to Annika's murder, Batman responds coldly.
Your friend got involved with the wrong people. She didn't know any better. Maybe you should have explained it to her.
This remark fuels Selina's anger further, but they are quick to reconcile, though we get the sense Selina is keeping Bruce at more of an arm's length than he is succeeding in doing with her. Following their reconciliation after the argument, she begs for his help. Turns out, though, she locates Kenzie on her own, but when she brings him to Batman, she's met with more pushback. From her point of view, he's upset with her because he doesn't believe what she's saying about Annika. She doesn't yet know about his no-kill rule.
I'm telling you, goddammit, she called me!
After she plays the voicemail recording of Annika's murder, and Kenzie confesses everything, Batman still refuses to help her. It is at this moment that she realizes where he stands, and she gives in. She'll take care of it herself. Throughout Catwoman's history, the character has been overly sexualized and objectified in both the medium and by the audience themselves.
But the discomfort of feeling that leering gaze that, by the way, the audience itself, of course, in these movies is always guilty of, right? That's always the thing.
And yes, Catwoman's sexuality is a major part of her character, but it is often portrayed through a male lens and lacking substance. Her first comic appearance in 1940's Batman #1 avoids allowing Selina autonomy. She is viewed in a sexual manner through Batman, but never does anything herself to suggest her own physicality. As Catwoman, Selina Kyle learns to explore her sexuality and use it for herself, rather than to meet men's needs. In Batman Year One, this concept is presented in a particularly interesting way, as Selina works as a dominatrix under her pimp Stan. Though in this state she is viewed by her clients as being in a position of power, she is ultimately using her sexuality as a means to an end, a way for her to satisfy men by appealing to their fantasies. It's through Catwoman that Selina finds she can harness this sexual power and use it for her benefit, providing aid to those society has discarded. In The Batman, Matt Reeves sheds light on this issue by utilizing contact lenses and forcing Batman and the audience to experience the objectification Selina faces firsthand.
The discomfort of being watched, of being the object of somebody's gaze, is a very unsettling thing, and I really wanted Batman to feel these eyes. And then he starts to realize, oh, look at these creeps.
The scene is meant to act as an awakening of sorts for Batman, making him realize his privilege and the tactics Selina and other women must learn to survive. Batman and Catwoman's dynamic in The Batman is one of the most unique and well-fleshed renditions of the two we've seen come to the big screen. The parallels between the Bat and the Cat are embraced, much like Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer's renditions of them in 1992's Batman Returns. Dissimilarly, however, in the Batman, Selina's line of work is questioned by Batman, and he assumes her to be involved with her employers.
What'd you have to do to set up that score? How close did you have to get? To Penguin? To Falcone?
It is in this scene that, again, the two's differences are made exceedingly clear.
And he's assuming that she must be of low morals. And actually, when you look at the story, everything he thinks about her is wrong.
Bruce had the privilege of leading a sheltered upbringing, and we see here that he's never considered the societal aspects pushing people into these positions.
Means your choices have consequences.
Jesus Christ. Choices? You know, whoever the hell you are, you obviously grew up rich.
She calls him out on this idea that he talks as someone who has been sheltered. He had that huge safety net, so she's smart enough, streetwise enough to understand that this guy, as connected as they are in certain ways, that neither of them trust anyone, but some part of him doesn't seem to understand what it takes to survive in Gotham.
With the reveal of Carmine Falcone being Selina's father, Bruce is forced to rethink all of what he had said and previously thought. It is through a combination of both Riddler and Selina that he learns what it means to help people and how he wants to act as Batman moving forward.
He sees things in such moral white and black. He's very naive in a way. Again, it's like he's 10. In certain ways, he's stuck. He doesn't see the world in all the shades that are there. And the story of the movie is meant to blow that apart for him. And Selina functions that way for him. And this mystery kind of blows that up for him as well.
Both our Bat and Cat lost their parents at a young age to an unknown killer. It isn't made 100% clear who the Waynes were killed by, but the film does allude to either Carmine Falcone or fellow crime boss Salvatore Maroni orchestrating their deaths. In the words of Alfred,
We shall know for sure.
we do, however, eventually learn from Falcone himself that he was responsible for Maria Kyle's death, strangling her as he did with Annika. Falcone attempts to do the same to Selina, who is saved by Batman. During the altercation, Selina scratches Falcone's face atop the tri-scratches he already bears. Actor John Turturro is credited as the mastermind behind this idea.
It was his idea. He also thought that Selina, later in the movie, when he's strangling Selina, that she should scratch his face right in the place where he's got the Falcone scratches that are pictured from the Tim Sale series, with Jeff Loeb. The idea being that those scratches, if they come from Selina in this situation, the original scratches might have come from Selina's mother.
The implication that Falcone was involved in the death of both Bruce and Selina's parents further insinuates that the two are cut from the same cloth. They both grow up to be natural protectors as their own protection was ripped from them by the hands of the same man. Their differences remain apparent, of course. Selina was raised in an orphanage or through foster care after losing her mother, as social services were involved, whereas Bruce's experience is much more uncommon. As Riddler puts it,
living in some tower over the park isn't being an orphan.
In contrast to this, Selina's reflections on her childhood are full of cold images of her father.
Social services came to take me away, and he didn't say a thing. Couldn't even look at me.
Similarly, when Falcone begins to plant the seed in Bruce's mind that Maroni is responsible for the Wayne murders, he distracts himself with a game of pool, not meeting Bruce's eyes. Batman's interjection in Selina's attempt to kill her father is a defining moment in both of their characters and speaks to the enormity of the care Bruce has for her. As he tries wresting the gun from Selina, he's met with her screaming that Falcone has to pay. At this point, just a few scenes ago, it was revealed to Bruce through Alfred that Falcone may in fact be the one responsible for his parents' deaths, contrary to what Falcone had just told him hours before. Yet instead of allowing Selina to carry out her path of vengeance, he tells her,
We don't have to pay with it. You paid enough.
This seems to ground her. Selina has all the reason in the world not to trust government officials. The cops who will take Falcone in and the courts who will process his case, and yet she gives up the gun and allows Batman to take him into custody. Her willingness to let go in this moment and the faith she has in Batman and what he stands for outweigh the pain and anger she feels toward her father. The depth of her surrender is exacerbated by Falcone's reveal that he killed her mother mere moments before Selina gets her hands on a gun. It was hearing these words from Batman the man who calls himself Vengeance, that helped Selina to finally understand his mission. And as his words hang in the air, she fights against the vengeance inside of herself and wins. Bruce's ability to think critically beyond the need for revenge in this scene is especially noteworthy, as he nearly goes against these principles later on in the film. After taking a shot to the chest from one of Riddler's goons, Bruce is saved by Selina, who tries to comfort him, telling him everything will be okay. This intimate moment is interrupted as Selina is attacked by the same man, and Bruce, unable to move well due to his injury, injects himself with some form of adrenaline to help her. His wrath rains down on the goon as he hits him again and again, adding up to a total of 13 times, showing no signs of stopping until Jim Gordon interferes. Bruce's feelings for Selina cause him to disregard his own advice and moral principles here. The rage manifested is due in part to the adrenaline shot, but not entirely. Seeing Selina attacked and feeling temporarily unable to help her undoubtedly aided in pushing him over the edge, leaving viewers to wonder what would have happened had Gordon not stepped in. Bruce's fear of losing anyone else he cares about causes him to disregard his own advice and moral principles, no matter how hard he works to stay in control.
In my mind, he became Batman because he couldn't bear to be vulnerable anymore. He couldn't bear the idea of ever going through that kind of pain again. It's the same reason why he won't let anyone get close to him. In the end of the movie, when he kind of loses it after he sees Selina being attacked, you realize how he's driven by that. It shows the depth of his feeling for her, that he loses it to that degree because it's unbearable for him.
Bruce and Selina's personalities in The Batman bear a striking resemblance to one another in many respects, a major part being their intense drive to help those they care about and their unwillingness to extend that graciousness to themselves. Towards the beginning of the film, Bruce tells Alfred,
I don't care what happens to me.
and we see this disconnect in Selina as well. When she throws herself into her investigation of Annika's disappearance, she disregards the danger she is putting herself in. She will stop at nothing to avenge her friend. There is no time to think about the potential harm that could come her way. After witnessing Batman defend her in this violent frenzy, she meets his eyes, and after a moment wavering, she nods at him, likely seeing herself reflected in him.
Selina gives him the look where she realizes he's just been exposed in terms of how much depth of feeling he has for her.
Bruce may have succeeded in getting Selina not to kill Falcone, but that doesn't mean he saved his life. In fact, by stopping Selina, he inadvertently helped carry out another part of Riddler's plan. Falcone is the last of Riddler's victims, and is shot directly in front of Selina just moments after steadying her own hand. Outwardly, she does not have a large reaction to this. We see her step over his body to get one last look at him before leaving the scene. Assumably, she has mixed feelings over this outcome, as he got what was coming to him but not in any way she anticipated. Out of all of Riddler's victims, Carmine Falcone is the person Selina has the strongest tie to. His attempt at strangling her is a culmination of all Selina's trauma, as her father's frantic hands force her to confront the memory of both her mother and Annika's murders. Although Selina can thank Riddler for taking her dad out, if it hadn't been for his first victim, Don Mitchell Jr., Annika may still be alive. Selina is loosely tied to the remainder of Riddler's victims: Mitchell, whom she knew from Annika and the club, Pete Savage and Gil Colson, who she also knew from the club, and Bruce Wayne, although she doesn't know that and Bruce survived his attempt. Thanks, Alfred. Her familiarity with each of the victims is something unique to her, overlooking Jim Gordon, which is not surprising given the reputation of her work environment, the Iceberg Lounge, and it being Riddler's hunting ground. She and the Riddler share many similarities. Their upbringings presumably resemble each other's, being in an orphanage and foster care. Although what exactly happened to Selina after human services came into her life is not clear. In Riddler, Year 1, readers are provided with a look into Edward Nashton's childhood growing up in the Gotham orphanage, as well as the implications that he faced abuse. What happened in these homes? I try to block it out, but it lives in my body, so my body rejects itself, like I'm a cancer. With the treatment we see other children facing in the orphanage from Edward's point of view, there is a chance Selina experienced similar adversity in her childhood. The hardships Selina faced growing up taught her resilience and stressed the importance of the people closest to her, making her a fierce protector. Edward's childhood taught him how to waft through crowds unseen and appear unassuming, how to be no one. Both of them were exposed to the darkest parts of Gotham in childhood, instilling in them a disdain for the city and its systems. Selina remarks to Batman,
All anyone cares about in this place are these white, privileged assholes. The mayor, the commissioner, the DA. Now Thomas and Bruce Wayne, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that psycho's right to go after these creeps. I think you'd be on his side.
Although we can see the fear Riddler's actions bring her, for instance, when his video involving Commissioner Savage is broadcast, Selina can understand his motivations and hatred for the system. Throughout the film, there are clear intentional parallels between Batman and Riddler, but they exist between Riddler and Catwoman as well. The two's traumas shape them similarly in some ways, but their coping skills divert from one another. Selina is able to put on a figurative mask and be personable with people at her job, in addition to having friends and romantic ventures. Edward struggles with socializing and isolates, escaping into the puzzles and rhymes that are ever present in his head. When the two don their masks, not unlike Batman, they are stepping into a role that helps them process their trauma and work to promote change in an area that has caused them so much pain. Selina's mask is far from the only way her motivations manifest in her appearance. Matt Reeves credits actress Zoe Kravitz as being a key contributor to many of the most memorable parts of Selina in the film, one of them being her iconic set of wigs.
She said, I'd love to have that year one haircut. And I was like, totally. I said, what I want to do is I want to meet you in a wig that the audience will think is your actual hair. And then you'll remove the wig and we'll see the year one hair. And from there forward, we'll see that she has a chameleon-like quality.
Additionally, Kravitz suggested building to the year one look, since there would be no catsuit in the film, a look we're introduced to in a satisfying sequence after she pushes Kenzie off the roof and the Catwoman surfaces.
In the middle of that fight, she finally emerges in full year one form. And so that was designed as an homage and a kind of Easter egg for fans of the comics.
The Batman's attention to detail and depth is especially commendable in its tribute to the character of Selina Kyle. The history and depth of her character are executed beautifully in the film, down to very minute details such as the design of her apartment and the dynamics between her and other girls in her line of work. Her resolve is sturdy and unapologetic, with her departure from the film being the emotional conclusion, granting us the film's final line from Batman.
Selina. Take care of yourself.
Matt Reeves not only brought a comic book to life in The Batman, but with Zoe Kravitz's raw performance as Selina, fans have been gifted a gritty, unflinching, and alive version of her as well.